Hey everyone, Attorney Davis Yance here. In case you missed it, Secretary Hegseth has put out a series of critical videos that talk about what's happening at the Department of Defense. There was one that came out last week that has generated a lot of things that I think are really important as we think about good order and discipline within the military, and we think about enabling commanders and leaders within the military to do their job. But it goes beyond that. When I watched this video, I realized so much of what he's saying is exactly what we've been fighting for at the Military Council as we practice law, as we've represented senior military leaders and commanders at all levels dealing with weaponized administrative investigation processes. We're going to watch this video together, and I'm going to talk about a couple of things and use some examples from real cases I've seen. So I'm absolutely excited about this. This is a critical change in DoD policy. So here we go.
We're back with more reforms here at DoD, and this one is one of the most important ones we've done. The official title is Restoring Good Order and Discipline Through Balanced Accountability. A little wordy, but over the target. The real title that I call it, the No More Walking on Eggshells policy. You see, too often.
Okay, so why does this matter? Why do I get so fired up about this? What he's talking about is balancing good order and discipline with accountability. So what we have seen far too often is commanders who are afraid to hold troops accountable because they're more concerned about their own career or what's going to happen if a complaint gets filed against them. And he's going to talk about this. So let's get to that point. But I can't emphasize enough how important that is, and that language is important. This is about balancing. Absolutely, commanders make mistakes. Absolutely, people are punished that shouldn't be. Discrimination happens. But we need a balanced approach in order to enable commanders to do their job and hold people accountable.
Often at the Defense Department, there are complaints made for certain reasons that can't be verified that end people's career, either through EO or the IG. We need to reform that process completely so commanders can be commanders. Let me explain it a little bit more. So the DoD has equal opportunity programs for service members and civilians to report discrimination and harassment. That's a good thing. But what's not good is when these programs are weaponized. Some individuals use these programs in bad faith to retaliate against superiors or peers. I hear it.
All right. So how does this happen, and why does he use weaponize? I have used weaponize myself in responding to adverse actions against commanders, against senior leaders under these exact same type of allegations and investigations. So the problem is when you are in a leadership position and you have an EO or an IG complaint filed against you, often the process itself can be a form of punishment. So even if there is no credibility to the allegations, even if there are false allegations, even if it's someone who you've taken disciplinary action against, who's just using the process and the investigative process to retaliate against you, it can linger on and on and on. So the process itself can hurt commanders. If you're in the Army, you can be flagged, you can be put on administrative hold, and it puts you in a situation where you can't progress in your career simply because of an allegation. And you are faced with not being able to do your job and trying to defend against these allegations. So the way the system is set up now, the way it's been weaponized, we have allowed far too many cases to linger. We've allowed them to take too long, and the process becomes a punishment and hurts careers. But it's beyond that. It interferes with the mission and the ability for individuals to accomplish it. So I cannot emphasize how critical this is. Let's keep going here.
All the time. Say you receive a bad evaluation, well, file a military EO complaint. It's nonsense, and we want to fix that. That's why today I'm signing a memo entitled, as I said, Restoring Good Order and Discipline Through Balanced Accountability. It directs a comprehensive review of equal opportunity programs to ensure prompt and impartial investigations, fair treatment to all parties involved, and timely and appropriate resolution of allegations of discrimination. So here's the goal: empower leaders to make tough decisions, enforce standards, and restore good order and discipline.
All right, so I want to talk about that a little bit. So what he's saying there, he's hitting on the points I was raising, which are the fact that these investigations take too long. They need to be done properly. They need to be done timely. But the other piece that he's talking about when we talk about fair investigations, often And if you've been in the military, if you've been in the Air Force and been the subject of a commander direct investigation, we call it a CDI, a formal or informal investigation, the Marines, the Navy, a 15-6 in the Army, you know that sometimes these investigators are individuals that are appointed with no investigative experience at all. They're not a JAG. They don't have any background in understanding what the legal standards are or even the regulations. So, and even if they want to do a good job, often they're not fair, impartial investigators. So he's hitting on two aspects of this that are critical, which is that we have good investigators with the right training, as well as ensuring that these investigations occur in a reasonable period of time. And that allows us to move forward with the mission. So I love what he's doing, because he is not saying that discrimination doesn't occur. He's not saying that these investigations shouldn't happen or couldn't have merit, but he is saying we need to enable commanders to make tough decisions and not live their lives in fear that they're going to get a complaint, because when we do that, we flip military justice on its head and it undermines the mission. All right, here we go. Let's keep going.
Otherwise known as no more walking on eggshells. This is an important one. Proud to sign it.
I love the purpose of this. I love the intent of it. I love the messaging as well. No more walking on eggshells. And if you think this policy isn't necessary, if you think it is not appropriate to bring it in the case, I could give you countless examples of scenarios where good leaders, some of the best leaders I've ever worked for, have been buried under an avalanche of complaints because they simply try to hold people accountability and hold people to a standard. So it happens over and over again, and it is something that needs to change. So I am just ecstatic that the Secretary of Defense understands that. He understands what it takes to bring about a balanced policy. And I'm really looking forward to how this guidance memo will be implemented in regulations and other processes across the Department of Defense. As always, listen, if you are a military member who is facing an administrative or another type of investigation, feel free to reach out to us so we can have a conversation about how to help you. But once again, this is another moment when I'm encouraged about the efforts to ensure we have fair processes and we have real accountability in the Department of Defense. Thanks. Take care.